Okay, it's preparing a live stream. Your meeting's being live streamed.
It's still showing us as a practice session.
Yeah, I'll go live as soon as it's live streaming.
Okay.
All right, Amanda, we're going.
All right. All right. Well, welcome everyone. We are very excited to be here. I'm just going to let everyone come in. It is about that time. So if you have a glass and you would like to enjoy one with us, we're certainly going to be drinking some great wines this evening. So if you have a glass, go ahead, get it out, pour yourself something delicious. Also, we've got the chat going. So please have fun with that. We would love to know what it is that you are drinking. And then also if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A. So we'll give everyone just a minute or two to get in here and then we will kick off this summer session. I am drinking some bubbles right now. So if you've got something in your glass, go ahead and tell us what it is. I'm going to see if I can find you guys. I can't find you. What a beautiful evening. I hope wherever you're joining us is delicious and lovely and wonderful, and the weather's serving you well, and there's something delicious in your glass. Oh, good. We do have the chat. Fantastic. Oh, Stephanie Miner, good to see you in here. We've got some people having fun with us. Tell us where you're joining us from. Tell us what you're drinking. This should be very interactive because we've got 4 incredible winemakers and vintners with us. It's going to be a great session. And I think given that we are about 3 minutes in, what do you say? Should we kick this off? Should we get drinking? Should we talk about the lighter side of Napa Valley? I think so. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda McCrossin, and I have the great privilege and honor of hosting this summer session for the Napa Valley Vintners, talking about the lighter side of Napa Valley. Of course, everyone knows Napa Valley is incredibly suited to beautiful red wines like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, blends. But I think what a lot of people forget is that we do beautiful other wines as well, like sparkling, rosé, white wines like Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc. And so we are going to be here tonight talking about that lighter side of Napa Valley, all those other wines that we can enjoy during the summer. And we're going to be talking about what to eat with them as well. So if you've got questions about that, this is your opportunity to ask them in the chat. It's your opportunity to get that best information directly from the resource. So we are going to be talking to our winemakers in just a second. At this point, if you've got something in your glass and it's from Napa Valley, go ahead and put it in that chat so I can see it. And please let us know where you're joining us from. We've already got some people from Texas. I see that you're drinking the Matthias and Whites. John Andrew, it's great to see you in here. Susie, great to see you as well. Carmel, Indiana. Fantastic. We love it. It's really good to see everyone from all around the country gathering virtually to celebrate Napa Valley wines. At this point, I would love to invite our panelists to come back and join me so we can talk about these amazing wines in our glasses. There will be 4 of them. We've got a white, we've got a rosé, and we've got 2 bottles of bubbly. So please give a virtual round of applause, if you will, to our esteemed panel of vintners and winemakers. We're going to kick it off with you, Allison. Allison Doran, we've got who's the winemaker at Hill Family Estate. She is joining us with a beautiful bottle of bubbles, and I think you're going to kick us off right. Correct, Allison? You're going to pop that for me?
Yeah, if it hasn't been sitting here for 20 minutes too long
Oh, so
outside.
it's gonna go.
Yeah, it might be very exciting.
Very exciting. I have faith, Allison. Oh, that was beautiful. Well done. Amazing.
I like starting off with a big hoot.
We love it. We're here for it. Allison, do me a favor. As you're pouring that glass, well, let's first cheers, right? Cheers to you all at home. Cheers to you, Allison. Cheers to whatever you're drinking. I am excited to get into this. And so with that, selfishly, Allison, I am going to ask you to introduce yourself and the wine that we have right here. This is the 2020 Hill Family Estate Sparkling Wine, very limited production. So tell me about this wine a little bit.
Well, we decided we would start making sparkling wine just because the people in the tasting room said, well, but it's fun. Why don't we have one? Why don't we make one? And I've been working with Hill Family since 2021. So, I mean, since 2001. So it's been 22 years now. So it's really, I was like, oh, something fun, something interesting. Let's give that a try. So this is all Pinot Noir from a little vineyard in Carneros called Canidal, and it was brought in early and all that sort of. It is just so much fun. It is just great. So
It's delicious. And, it's interesting that you say that this is something fun and something different, but you've got such a long history of making wine in Napa Valley. Is this the first time that you've made sparkling wine?
Yes, well, I made one at Firestone with Michel Tribault back in, gosh, what was that? About maybe 1985.
Okay.
And that game I really decided that it was not something you did as an amateur. You really need a lot of you need to follow the program and do all the calculations. It's a very complicated, interesting process. So I didn't make it again until we got to work with Rack and Riddle on this one.
So was it like riding a bike, or no? This took a little more research to get back into.
It was actually, I worked with Rack and Riddle on deciding how much stuff and when to do things, and it was almost too easy. And the wine was so beautiful right from the beginning.
Well, it's delicious and it's crisp and it's very appley. And I think one of the things that we think of when we think of places like Napa Valley is, of course, that it's warm. But being that this is from the Canidal Vineyard in Carneros, where it's a little cooler, I assume this is much better suited for grapes. And this is all Pinot Noir?
Yes.
So, much better suited for our cooler climate varieties. But how is it working with something like Pinot Noir in a cooler region, when you're used to working with such warmer regions further up north?
Actually, Hill Family has always done their Pinot Noir out of Carneros. And we started making a rosé early on, and so it wasn't much of a leap, because Pinot Noir, when you do a saignée method, you can come out with something a little too hot and uninteresting. But if you get something, coming in at 21 or even 20.8, we also make an Albarino, which is a lot of fun, and it comes in at the same sort of thing, between 20 and 21, low alcohol, and lots of vibrancy. And every year is different, obviously, but they're just to have some of those in the lineup along with the big cabs and everything. We make everything from Albarino to Zinfandel, so just sparkling wine is a lot of fun to have in the middle.
Well, you've really captured the freshness, and we're so grateful, of course, in the warmer months to have something cool and refreshing to kick us off with. And of course, who's mad at bubbles? We all love bubbles. These are really, really delicious and super special that it's coming from a single vineyard. Also a Blanc de Noir, right? Super fun that it's 100% Pinot and this beautiful, beautiful white sparkling wine. It's crisp.
Well,
it's
Doug
fresh,
Hill
it's
is such
appley.
a master. Doug Hill is such a master at growing grapes, and he's been doing it his whole life. And he really, he takes every harvest, every visit out to the vineyard very seriously. And he's always very thoughtful about what will improve everything. And so, to get to work with him, it's really amazing. And I'm not amazed, actually, though, that this wine is so beautiful.
Yeah, well, you
after
bring up
all
a
of his
great
hard
point
work.
and an excellent segue because you mentioned, the Hill family, they were growing grapes for about 4 generations before they started making wine. And I think one of the really wonderful things to highlight about this particular group is the fact that we have all family owned and operated vineyards. I know a lot of the
Wow.
headlines, right? Very cool. I know a lot of the headlines sometimes suggest otherwise, but Napa really at its core, at its root is so many families who still own their wineries and operate them. So it's really special to have all you guys with us. And we also have Ernie Weir, who is the owner and winemaker at Goffin Cellars, which has been around for a little while. And it was founded in 1979. It's Napa's first kosher winery. So another family owned property, another family owned winery. Ernie, it's great to have you. And it's great to have not one, but 2 bottles of sparkling wine this evening. How lucky are we?
Thank you so much. I'm struggling a bit here to open mine up, but I will have it open in a second.
That's okay. I am not struggling with this wine at all because this wine is jumping out of the glass. I don't know. I'm sure some of you can see the color, which, not always indicative of what it's going to taste like. But I think if you could imagine based on what you're seeing, how this smells, I mean, it's just completely leaping out of there with tons of cherries and strawberries, and it's really rich and vibrant. I'm really curious to see what your approach was to this.
Well, as some of you know, I have a long history with sparkling wine. And having graduated from a very large, prestigious sparkling wine house, and having had relationship with a lot of growers and a lot of winemakers. And so I started making my own sparkling wine in small amounts in 1997. And not every year, but
I believe in you, Ernie.
there we go. And so this is from the vintage 2020. That vintage was not our easiest vintage in general. And I think I got really lucky because I decided that we needed to make rosé. We needed to make sparkling wine that year. And I took our Pinot Noir asset, which normally goes for red wine, which probably would have not made very good red wine in 2020, given the smoke emissions we suffered from. And I made it into this wine, harvested at moderate sugar and therefore moderate alcohol, like Allison made reference to. But deliberately wanted to extract a lot of color and a lot of fruitiness. So that's what we did. And it is, as I recall, it's probably 95% Pinot and 5% Chardonnay to boost a little bit of the body of the wine.
Well,
And
it's got
it's
tons
fun.
of body. And I think the first thing and we'll talk about food pairings a little bit down the line, but the first thing that struck me when I smelled it and when I tasted it was I need some pizza, like stat. This is a pizza wine for me. I want like a red sauce pizza with some spicy sausage because it's got so much fruit and it's got texture and it's got body, but it's got freshness.
Right.
And to me, this just like screams pizza wine. I don't know if that's something you've done before, but
Well, yes. I mean, I would say it's more akin to Sunday brunch and fruit salad and things
also
like that. But I appreciate that it would go very nicely with something that's salty also, like pizza. And
yeah, it's
Maybe the
it's
pineapple
really, I
pizza.
think we're so lucky to be living in Napa Valley where we have this ability to get our grapes really ripe and really lovely. But the fact that you've really balanced in the way that Allison has as well, this freshness with this really lovely ripe fruit is really what makes Napa Valley so special and such a great place to drink wines from, because you can kind of have the best of all worlds. We are going to, what's that?
Comes from Coombsville.
Comes from Coombsville. Okay.
Yeah. And I had a long-term contract there. I no longer have, the vineyard's been removed, but I had a very nice contract there for Pinot Noir for at least 10 years, maybe longer.
Well, some winemakers have called Coombsville sort of the secret ingredient of Napa Valley wines, because it's a little cooler down there, but you can still grow our hardier varietals. Would you subscribe to that same belief?
Yes, I have my own vineyard in Coombsville also, where I grow red grapes, but I also Syrah and Cabernet Franc, but I also grow Riesling in that vineyard in Coombsville. So it's soil dependent, but I do acknowledge and accept what you said, that Coombsville is kind of a transitional between the cooler area and the warmer areas. It's very useful, very, very useful.
Which I assume is why you can have so many different varietals. And how lucky are we to be living in a place where you can grow so many different grapes so well? I think it's what's fascinated me so much about the Napa Valley.
We live
and
in
about
a beautiful world here. Yes, we live
it's
in
a beautiful world
climate
and talented winemakers to really make the most of what we have here. So we're very grateful for what you guys do. With that, we are going to move on to the still version of rosé, courtesy of Brandon Delers, partner and winemaker at ZD. So I'm going to grab this glass, and I just want to show you the color difference because, not all rosés are created equal, right? This one's got bubbles, this one doesn't, but you can see the colors are quite different. You've got more of this really pretty strawberry cherry hue with the sparkling from Hagafen, and now we've got a more salmon colored coming from ZD. So welcome, Brandon. How you doing? You look like you're in the winery right now.
Yep, we are in the middle of bottling right now. So thank you for getting me away from that scene and into our kind of little entrance lobby area.
You didn't tell me that before. Bottling day is the day that we used to see everyone at the bar at press after.
Yeah, bottling's no fun. So, yep, I can totally understand that.
I think you've earned a very big glass of wine after bottling day.
Yep.
Has just off topic, has everything gone swimmingly so far, or is it a typical bottling day where something always goes wrong?
There's always something that goes wrong. This year for us, it's a little bit of a glass issue, but we've done this for almost 55 years, so we know how to troubleshoot. Yeah.
Well, tell me about this wine because I'm a big fan of ZD. I'm a big fan of what you guys do there. Obviously, the Chardonnay is one of my favorite. Pinots are great. I don't think that I've ever had the rosé before, so I'm very excited to have this Rosalie rosé of Pinot Noir. So tell me a little bit about this.
Right. So Rosalie was my grandma. So she founded the winery with my grandpa in 1969. So she was the sales team for all the kind of early years. So we have 2 direct-to-consumer only wines that are named after her. This one and Petit Verdot.
Grandma got 2 wines.
Yep, she
Good for
lucked
her.
out. Yeah. So like the inspiration behind the wine is make something as unique and lively as Rosalie herself. So we want to do a Pinot Noir rosé for sure. In terms of fruit sourcing, we wanted to make it something that was totally special. But still wanted to name it Pinot Noir. So it's 75% Pinot Noir. The remainder is broken up between Flora and Grenache. So
Okay, tell me about Flora. I don't know Flora.
Yeah, most people don't. My grandpa made it back in the 70s. It's a cross between Gewurz and Simeon.
Okay, so
It's
still
like
still vinifera.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's a California beast. All these grapes are grown by the Hoxie family. They own Napa Wine Company.
Sure.
So when our 50th anniversary hit in 2018, that was kind of our breaking point where we've been working for a long time to make all of our fruit sourcing certified organic. And so at this point, we don't touch any fruit that's not certified organic. By the way, Ernie Weir's one of our fantastic growers. His front yard is some certified organic Cabernet Sauvignon. That's absolutely amazing. And so, yeah, so the Hoxie family is a great partner for us in terms of they grow a ton of organic fruit that's really, really good. So yeah, it's kind of a unique blend, but majority Pinot. The winemaking is ultra minimal, with the goal of just having it be super fresh and simple, kind of like Beaujolais type thing. So we'll bring the fruit in cold, press it with a champagne press cycle. We get extremely low yields because the grapes start to throw color really early. So the accountants get very upset based on the very low yields required to make this, very pretty light color. And then we just go straight to stainless steel, ferment ultra cold. So primary fermentation will take about 3 months because we're so cold. And then at that point, kind of the objective is to maintain the natural spritz that the wine has, gained through fermentation and keep it in there. So bung those stainless steel barrels tight and get it in the bottle. And so we'll bottle in like January, February.
Okay. Well, it's delicious, but I and this is what I think is so cool about rosé in general is you can have so many different versions of it. A rosé is not a rosé is not a rosé, right? They're all very different. And immediately on the nose, this is Ernie's was one. This is very different. This is a little bit more savory, I would say. There's a little bit more of like an umami quality to it. It's very sea spray. There's even like a hint of mushroom that you would find in something like Pinot Noir. So, I think it'll be really fun when we get to the food pairing side to see what you guys think your respective rosés can pair with, because as much as I am pro pizza with Ernie's sparkling rosé, I'm in a completely different boat with this one. It's still light and it's still fresh. It's got a really nice texture to it, a really nice creaminess to it, but I can't get over the fact that this is such a savory rosé.
It's just what
What do
the
you think?
vineyard gives you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I mean, a lot of the people that I've spoken to aren't quite as salty as you. They might want more the red fruit zone, but it is what it is.
There's definitely fruit here. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think, this is still Napa Valley. So it goes without saying there's lots of fruit here, lots of strawberry, lots of that great just California ripeness. But yeah, I'm kind of struck by this really lovely base note that's kind of anchoring it on the bottom here. So it's really fun. It's really playful, but definitely has more of like a serious quality to it. I want to enjoy this with like a proper meal of some sort. I want to get to our very last wine before we jump into food pairings and lots of other fun questions. So let's jump into our last wine, which is going to be the Trefethen Chardonnay. We've got Lorenzo Trefethen with us here, third generation vintner at Trefethen. Again, all family owned and operated. And Brandon, I didn't mention you, and maybe you sort of touched on it. You are third generation winemaker at ZD. Your grandfather and your father were the winemaker there. So I think it's really cool to see all of you guys sort of carrying the torch for your families. And Lorenzo, you're carrying the torch for yours with this gorgeous Chardonnay that I've got here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, and we're sharing an anniversary with ZD as well. 55 years young this year. And we have been growing Chardonnay our entire history, which is actually quite something to say. I was on a panel with Karen McNeil recently, and I learned just how weird it was for us to plant Chardonnay in those early years. It's kind of amazing to say now, since Chardonnay has taken over the world. But when we first planted our vineyard, well, first of all, it was weird to be doing anything related to wine in Napa in the late 60s. But when we planted Chardonnay, everyone thought my grandfather had absolutely lost his mind. Nobody had heard of it. The state of California had less than 1,000 acres, and we planted over 200. So Chardonnay was sort of our first big bet and also our first big success. In 1979, it was declared the best Chardonnay in the world in Paris at what was at the time the largest wine tasting the world had ever seen. And the French were so upset, they threw out the results, held a rematch the following year in Burgundy, which we won again. And that really helped put not only Trefethen, but Napa Valley on the map.
Well, we are very grateful for that.
Yeah, we were just in the right place at the right time with the right wine. And we very much have made Chardonnay in a consistent style. And that style is really defined by what's out here. We want you to taste the vineyard. So every bottle of wine that we've ever made has been made from the grapes that we grow right here on the estate in the Oak Knoll district. And it's a little similar to the Oak Knoll district in terms of climate, to Coombsville that Ernie was talking about earlier. It's been warm recently, but at night it's 56 degrees. And that acidity, that minerality, that vitality that's in the vineyard really comes through in a brightness in this wine. So we like to really de-emphasize our winemaking. We don't want you to taste very much of what's happening inside the cellar. We want you to taste what's happening out in the vineyard. And so that's why when even looking at the bottle, you should get some sort of sense that this is a very sort of bright, mineral driven, very much from the land Chardonnay. and that makes it great in a variety of circumstances. Certainly that acidity is key for food pairing, which I can't wait to talk about as well. Also for aging, one of my favorite things to do is to pull out like a 30-40-year-old bottle of Chardonnay and pour it for someone who thinks they know everything about California Chardonnay, and
You
blow
sound like
their
a sommelier at press.
mind. Yeah. But also just poolside, people might not think California Chardonnay, but again, when you're leaning into that bright, crisp style, it's a fantastic summer wine.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think one of my favorite things to do is show people wines like this who think that they know California Chardonnay or think that they have seen everything that California Chardonnay has to offer. And of course, when you've got great fruit and you've got a great grape like Chardonnay, the world is kind of your oyster. They call Chardonnay the winemaker's grape for a reason. And I think you guys have really struck a perfect balance between letting the terroir show, letting the grapes show, and then also just offering just a little something to accompany it to really let it show itself in a tremendous, beautiful way. This wine for me, it screams Chardonnay, right? It's got all of those beautiful golden apples. It's a little lemony. There's some florals in there, but there's, what I love is that you've really struck this balance of great texture right in the center there. And then just this really, really bright lift. So it doesn't feel super cloying and heavy, but it also has this really great like sparkle to it that you can enjoy with lots of different foods. I think in the summertime, when we're talking about white wines, not all, just like rosés aren't created equal, not all white wines are created equal. You can have very, very heavy wines that are white wines that are more suited for the winter time, for winter dishes. So when you come across a Chardonnay that is so perfectly balanced, that can really thread the needle between both summer and winter pairings, I get super excited because I want to buy lots of these wines and I want to age them for 30 plus years like you guys have. Now I need to go raid your cellar.
Yes, please come on by anytime. Every Thursday, we open an old bottle, and occasionally it is Chardonnay. So for our Throwback Thursdays, there's always something from the cellar to taste. And of course, we'll open something special anytime you want to come by, Amanda.
What a fun thing to do. I spent several years opening some pretty old cool wines, and I do miss it from time to time. So I will be there on Thursdays, and that sounds
Great.
like a fun afternoon. I'll bring some food for us. At this point, if you guys have questions, now is the time to go ahead and put them in the Q&A or in the chat. We'll be keeping an eye on both, but we're going to get into the part that I've been teasing about, which is our summertime pairing. So at this point, I would like to ask all of you guys, what summertime Napa Valley dish do you like to enjoy your wine with? I think when I think of Napa Valley dishes, I'm thinking of places like Gott's. I'm thinking of places like Station. We've got Heritage Eats in Napa. And of course, if you want to dine in a restaurant, that's great too. So Allison, I'm going to kick it off to you. We had your sparkling, your beautiful Brut 2020 Brut. What are you eating with this wine in the summertime?
I've got to say that I got my tradition from my parents who bought this place in Alexander Valley on the Russian River, and we'd ride little ponies in the morning, and then we'd get on our bathing suits and go down to the river, and my mom would pack a picnic with prosciutto and melon and Telemay cheese and baguettes and that kind of salami from the olive oil manufactory, and we'd go down to the river with all of this, and then the ladies would pop the champagne, and they really had Schramsberg back in the day, because that was really the only major, champagne that they all could agree on. But I really don't think it's possible to improve upon that. Going off for a picnic with Telemay and prosciutto and melon and sausage and baguette, it just is eternal. And champagne sparkling wine does so well with that, especially one that's a little softer and more fruity. And
yeah,
though I must say my husband and I have recently been trying it with the Hawaiian pizza and with pineapple and sausage and everything. We're convinced that that's not a bad pairing either.
Well, they say sparkling wine and champagne goes with everything. So I think you and Ernie are in a really great position to just be able to throw anything out there and we'll say, yeah, that sounds great. I think this wine will work with a lot of things, but I am now salivating at the thought of prosciutto and melon, and at the thought of a little cheese picnic along the Russian River Valley. I love that we just casually sit here, and I know that none of you take this for granted, but we've got such a beautiful place that we live in, all of this produce and all of these, you talk about the local olive oil and the local, we have all these things that work so well with the food. So I think I love this idea that we don't necessarily have a specific what grows together goes together in Napa Valley, because we have such a basket of things that we can work from. But I love that you went in that direction, and I'm going to second that choice as well. I think if I had my choice, picnic with a little prosciutto and melon and cheese and baguette, that's where I'm at.
Anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it.
You don't need to make a reservation.
Ernie, we talked about pizza, but I suspect you've got some other things that you would like to see this wine go with for the summertime.
Well, you pretty much stole my thunder right now, because
Oh no.
because sparkling wine is so flexible, that goes with everything from the beginning of the meal, aperitif, through the end of the meal, through dessert. So it really depends on what your preference is, but a raspberry or a strawberry in a glass of sparkling to begin with is delightful. As I mentioned before, a Sunday brunch, a fruit salad, but also something that's more savory, and all the way through the end to whatever your favorite chocolate might be at the end of a meal with sparkling is also magnificent. It's the high acidity of sparkling wine that is so conducive to it,
Yes.
marrying and pairing very well with lots of different foods.
Yeah.
And that's
And
really
low
the essence. A lot of our Napa Valley white wines is their naturally high acidity helps them pair with so many different foods.
Yeah.
They're refreshing to drink, and they refresh your palate as you proceed through the meal.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think I love that you went brunch for this, because I think brunch is such a great example of a meal where you've got a lot of different things going on, everything from like a French toast with berries to, maybe an eggs Benedict to some sausages. And this is the kind of wine that can really ebb and flow and kind of take you through very seamlessly all those different types of dishes, just in the way that it could through Thanksgiving. Rosé sparkling, even more so than a Brut sparkling, I think really lends itself, because it's got a little bit extra texture and a little bit extra fruit going on. I think it really lends itself to going up against some of these heartier dishes as well. So
Sure.
I'm here for the brunch all day long. I love that you guys were kind of in the same boat with, picking lots of different things. And yes, sparkling goes with everything. So there were really no wrong answers in that.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
Just you open it, it's a party.
It's a party. It's always a party.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Brandon, let's talk rosé. I know it's been a long day with you bottling, but what are you thinking about eating with this rosé from Napa Valley in the summertime?
Well, being that we just got off the bottling line, my mind is complete mush. But this topic was already thought of for me. My little sister Jill is our winery chef, and
That's convenient.
Yes, and on the ZD Wines YouTube channel, Jill has a pairing already ready to go. So what she decided was it's a shrimp po' boy pizza.
Ooh.
Yeah. And she
That sounds
has like
delicious.
directions for how to cook it at home with her two adorable little daughters by her side. That makes the video a little more entertaining. So yeah, that's what I've got for you.
I love that. I didn't want to harp too much on like the umami and the saltiness of it, but shrimp po' boy pizza. I mean, I think Jill and I knew what was up, right? We tasted this wine and we were like, it has a little of that ocean spray. It's got a little that sweetness like you have with shrimp and a little of that umami as well. I think I've never had a shrimp po' boy pizza. I'm just sitting here imagining it. That sounds very delicious. And I love the fact that you're going to have the cheese. Cheese is very high in acidity. This has got really great acid, but then you're going to have all of that weight and the texture from the pizza as well. And I love that this rosé has body, it's got viscosity to it. There's a creamy texture, and I think it's going to work really well with that. So I don't know, is Jill making that for the winery? Do we have to make this at home?
That's a really good question. She's never made it for me.
Jill, time to rectify this. I need to watch this YouTube video. Maybe we can find a way to link it after.
No, yeah, but
Um,
she's awesome. She pumps flavor, a lot of flavor into stuff, like spice and salt. She's huge salt fan, as am I. So
Salt. Wines love salt.
yeah.
Yeah. Lorenzo, let's talk about Chardonnay. I've got a lot of places I could take this, but you tell me what are we eating with this?
Yeah, no, it's just as versatile as those sparkling wines we were talking about earlier. And actually one of my favorite sparkling wine pairings that I can't believe you guys didn't mention. So I'm gonna take it as fried chicken.
Yes.
And fried chicken and Chardonnay is gonna go a long way. And I more often than not at the end of the week, I meet up with my wife, who's an oncologist, and by the end of the week, her brain is about as mushy as Brandon's. We meet up just down the road here at Bistro Don Giovanni, which is the best, for my money, the best patio in Napa, aside from this one. And we, start with a little prosciutto e melone and calamari, and then we'll go into my two favorite entrees are the pollo diavola and the Scottish salmon, and both are fantastic with this wine. And the chicken adds a little bit of spice, some broad beans they're doing right now, some like crisp summer beans, and the salmon has these bright tomatoes on the side that just pair beautifully with this wine.
I think that sounds delicious, but I have to ask you, since you brought up fried chicken, you have to have a spot for fried chicken in Napa. So what's your go-to?
Well, the go-to, I'm spoiled here. I don't really have to leave the property to get great food, and I actually got married here, and my wife and I popped bottles of champagne from up on top of this structure over here over our guests, or we sabered them. And it was very important to me that we had a midnight snack of fried chicken that our chef Chris Kennedy cooked to perfection, and he does an amazing fried chicken. But if I can't get chef, then it's an easy run to Addendum up the road.
That chef Thomas Keller, he's gonna do
He
big
kind of
things,
knows
I
what
think.
he's doing. Yeah.
Ad hoc also.
Yeah, no, I mean, both ad hoc and addendum, if you can get in and you can get some fried chicken, addendum, you can get it to go, you can get the biscuits, you can get the whole thing. Ad hoc, you got to sit down for it. I also have to give a shout out to Blanchard's fried chicken as well. So if you can get your hands on Chris Blanchard's fried chicken, he's a St. Helena resident and maker of fried chicken among many other things. But if you can get your hands on some fried chicken, it's some darn good fried chicken. The other food question that I have for you.
Side, so I agree there. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The other food question I have for you, and I'll just kick it right back to you, Lorenzo, since you were talking about those tomatoes earlier. I think all of us in Napa Valley are so lucky, like I said, to have all this produce. So farmer's market or garden, what's your go-to when you're going to the farmer's market or going to your garden? What are you grabbing?
Oh man, as you said, we're so spoiled, and it's just the best thing is to get the thing that's in season.
Yeah.
White peaches are just hitting right now. They're
right?
So good. And there's a little bit of white peach in the wine, along with the citrus and the sort of jasmine and things that are going on there. So it's again, it's an easy pairing.
Ooh, Kelsey is telling us Southside fried chicken dinner on Friday nights. I don't know about that, but I'm on it. Allison, what's your go-to farmer's market grab?
Oof. Well, I live in Alexander Valley, so I go to the Healdsburg market. So
that's okay. We'll let it slide.
But I'm a carrot person. I will just. Carrots. I'm just
I'm
a slave to good carrots.
All right, Ernie, what's your grab?
Well, I don't know. I'm not the one who goes to the farmer's market in my family.
What are you excited comes home to you?
Others go there, but I just want to mention that we're having a really challenging gardening year this year.
Yeah, that's true.
It was a late winter. It was a great winter, a lot of rain, and it was really cool spring. And growing vegetables this year in Napa is a test of patience. I mean, we're just now starting to get a few things coming in. So Hopefully the season stays nice and warm and long for us, but every year is a challenge, and this is another one.
I found a quote from you where you said, "We are farmers first and farmers are resilient." So
Well,
I believe in you, Ernie, and I believe in the farmers who are doing our veg and our fruit right now.
thank you. Yeah, we do our best, and most years we succeed pretty well here in Napa. Most years.
We do. We're very lucky. Brandon, I know you're thinking about that beer right now, but tell me what your farmer's grab is.
Well, Ernie, my garden is super wimpy so far too, so I'm totally with you.
Me too.
For me, it's shishito peppers.
Rolling the dice.
Yeah,
A little
exactly.
gambler.
Just roast them up, tons of salt, just like my sister. Chomp them. Hopefully you get a hot one that makes you drink some more wine.
Well played. And then last but not least, as we wrap this up, guys, how's harvest looking? I know we had a pretty intense winter with all that rain. We had a little bit of a late bud break. But how are we looking now? Allison, are you feeling good about things?
No, I think it's going to all kind of equal out. But yeah, there are a lot of things where I can't decide what's coming in until Verasion, where I see how big the grapes are getting, because there are some vineyards that have a lot of grapes, but I don't know if they're going to size up. There's some that don't have many grapes, but they might size up, like Sauvignon Blanc. You never know until halfway through Verasion, what kind of crop you're going to get. But I've heard that El Nino is kicking in, and we may get some earlier rains, which then, you have to look at the warm weather and say, oh, good, let's get ahead a little bit. But the main thing is, to hope that everybody is fire safe and prevents any wildfires, and play it smart. But other than that, I think we've got a lot of potential out there this year. It looks good.
Looks good. Ernie, you feeling good?
Yeah, with some reservation, but I'm feeling good. We have a nice crop. It doesn't look like too big of a crop. If the October weather is good, we're going to make great wines. If the October weather is not so good, going to be a bigger challenge.
All right. Well, I think you've been doing this for a little while. 1979 was when Hagafen was founded.
Yes, I'm not the 55th. I'm only doing my 50th harvest this year.
Okay. Well,
But
I think experience trumps all, right? Mother Nature is Mother Nature, but experience, hopefully.
I hate to say it, but we may need to thin some grapes. We don't like to say that, but we may need to thin some grapes. We'll
sacrifices have to be made in life, right?
Yeah. This month or next month we'll decide for us.
Yeah. Brandon, how you feeling aside from very tired?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of have the same opinion as Ernie. I mean, canopies are big and green and beautiful and awesome, but we're late. So we're actually looking at dropping crop early, just to make sure we're putting energy into what we think we can actually get ripe. And fingers crossed, we don't have a 2011 early rain season.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Lorenzo?
I am loving 2023. Yes, absolutely. The rains were so good. Recharge the aquifers, get everything sort of back in shape. The vines are healthy. They're looking good. Yeah, we're late, but it's another vintage. And I've been enjoying this nice mild summer. It's been warm recently, which is nice. It's gonna push things along, and we're always here at Trefethen walking the vineyards every day. We farm all the grapes that we turn into wine, so we're making sure that they're exactly where they need to be. And the crops, depends on the variety. The Chardonnay is looking a little bit heavier than the Cabernet, but both are looking just great. The vineyard looks great. Everything's sort of processing nicely, and everybody's happy. I mean, I'm really looking forward to harvest, which will be here before we know it. I mean, we'll start picking grapes here within the next 30 days. And
isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
I know, we're mid-July. We're like getting to the home stretch. I can't believe it.
Harvesting for sparkling wine before you know it.
Yeah.
I'm very pleased with the vintage so far. It's always hard to say until you get it into the barrel, but it's looking really great. I'm very optimistic.
I love your optimism. I love what everyone brought to this table, including some great fried chicken recommendations, some great food and wine pairings, some really good insight into what's been going on in the harvest and your respective wines. To everyone who joined us this evening, thank you so much. I hope this inspires you to drink a little bit more lightly. And for those of you who want a little bit more, you can head to the Napa Vintners Instagram account. They're giving you some summer wine tips on Instagram all summer long. So you've got lots to play with there. The fun doesn't end tonight. And to all of you who joined us, Lorenzo, Ernie, Allison, Brandon, thank you so much for giving us your time. I know it's getting super busy, but we really appreciate you being here and wish you all a wonderful and safe harvest. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you for the
Thank you, guys.
excuse to drink a glass of wine.
Anytime.